But Donald Trump has done so tonight. Donald Trump has ordered U.S. military bombing raids on Iran. We are now in war with Iran. President Trump announced the strikes on his niche social media platform, which is called Truth Social. He said in that post, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan."
Señores, el día de ayer, en la noche, mientras todos estaban distraídos, el presidente Donald Trump decidió, sin consultar al Congreso, lanzar una ofensiva militar contra 3 instalaciones nucleares iraníes. La excusa de todo esto, supuestamente prevenir una amenaza. La realidad, una decisión unilateral, muy peligrosa y con consecuencias muy, pero muy impredecibles. Amigos, hoy tenemos que analizar lo que hay detrás de este ataque. ¿Por qué es que Donald Trump lo hizo? Y lo más importante, ¿no? ¿Realmente era necesario? Una cosa es proteger al país. Otra muy distinta es jugar a ser héroe en redes sociales, mientras se lanza una operación de guerra desde la comodidad de tu resort en Nueva Jersey. Escuchemos a Rachel Maddow.
That U.S. bombers carried out strikes today at 3 Iranian nuclear sites. One at Natanz, a site that had previously been hit by Israel. Israel and Iran have been trading strikes since Israel's surprise attack last Friday. Israel has already attacked the site at Natanz. Now the United States has done so as well. Another nuclear site near Isfahan in Iran, and also, according to the president, the facility called Fordow, which is a deeply buried facility. And that's important tactically because the U.S. military is believed to have essentially unique targeting capacity to hit a site like that. It is a deep underground facility. The United States has essentially developed weapons specifically to target facilities like that one. And so these B-2 bombers that have reportedly carried out these strikes tonight in Iran are aircraft with capacity that no other military in the world really has. Now, common wisdom about this president, about the political movement that he leads, is that he is supposedly isolationist, that he is supposedly anti-war. That has never been exactly right. That's always been kind of a lazy common wisdom. In less than 6 months back in office, he has threatened military action against Panama, against Canada, against Denmark in order to seize Greenland. He has bombed Yemen over and over and over again, and now he appears to have entered the United States military into a war in Iran, something that neoconservatives have thrilled to for, I guess, 2 generations now. A lot of commentary around the Trump phenomenon and Trump's politics would suggest that he has risen in opposition to the neoconservatives who have advocated for this type of war since essentially the Iranian Revolution in 1979. But since 1979, the U.S. military has not engaged directly with Iran. But Donald Trump has done so tonight. Donald Trump has ordered U.S. military bombing raids on Iran. We are now in war with Iran. President Trump announced the strikes on his niche social media platform, which is called Truth Social. He said in that post, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside Iran airspace. A full payload of," inexplicable all capital letters, "bombs." It's not an acronym. He's just spelling it in all capital letters. "A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the capital world that could have done this." And then he says in all capital letters, "Now is the time for peace!" Exclamation point. "Thank you for your attention to this matter." The president, in his quirky spelling and delivery, delivering the most sober possible message to the American people, who have been largely opposed to and afraid of a potential U.S. war with Iran, again, for generations. Donald Trump has now started it. We are expecting President Trump to address the nation just about an hour from now, talking about this decision. Well, of course, we'll bring you that live when it happens. Joining us now from Washington, D.C. is NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. Monica, thanks very much for being with us. I know this is crunch time. What can you tell us about this decision tonight and what we know about the potential scope of this military engagement?
Yeah, Rachel, good to be with you. Look, this is an incredibly consequential decision of a massive scale for any president, but of course, in particular for this one who had been touting the fact that he was going to maybe give Iran as much as 2 weeks to see if a diplomatic solution could be possible. We knew that there were European leaders huddling with Iranian officials in Geneva as recently as yesterday. And he was even arguing from the tarmac when he was traveling yesterday and on Air Force One that perhaps that was a possibility. But he had been also very clear that it was likely that if he didn't get the terms of a deal that he was potentially pursuing here, that the U.S. military could get more involved. Now, he's going to lay out, I'm told, his rationale to the American people for this when he does speak at 10 p.m. And he is going to, of course, talk about what this means in this moment. I'm told by a senior White House official that as of right now, he and the country does not and should not expect additional strikes. Again, at this moment, this has obviously been unfolding in real time, can change incredibly quickly, but that is the posture as of, again, this second. And we know that the president also just a couple of hours ago had a conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. We know that this was a U.S. military operation that was heavily coordinated with Israel. They obviously were briefed on every step of the way. They knew this was happening. It was done, again, in a highly coordinated fashion, and that's not surprising. The president has been in touch with the prime minister pretty much every day over this last week or so when it comes to this conflict. And I can also tell you, Rachel, that he was traveling back from his property in Bedminster, New Jersey. He returned to Washington around 5:30 p.m. this evening, and he went to the Situation Room where he monitored much of this in real time, again, with some of his top national security advisors, and where we know that this is something that will be planned. It's going to continue to take place throughout the evening. We know that tomorrow he has another National Security Council meeting, and to the point that you started this show with about this question of the U.S. effectively being at war with Iran right now, this is a president that's going to need to come out and tell the American people why he made that decision, why this posture was one he felt was inevitable. And you're already seeing a lot of lawmakers, and a bipartisan effort, we should point out, raising questions about this and using this kind of military authority without that congressional approval. We know there had been a resolution that had been in the works over the last couple of days to see if that could be put up for a vote next week that was anticipating this potentially. But again, this is President Trump's maybe perhaps most consequential decision of this second term. Of course, there were many in the first term, but this is also a person who we need to remind everybody as a candidate repeatedly campaigned on and against ending all foreign wars and not pushing the U.S. further into these kinds of military entanglements overseas. So I think there's a lot of questions tonight about his approach to all of this. But I can also tell you, Rachel, just from talking to my White House sources a short time ago, they're very pleased with the fact that this was able to be carried out covertly, that it didn't appear that anything leaked, and that they were able to do this and keep U.S. military and U.S. personnel who were involved as safe as possible throughout the evening for now. Rachel.
Monica, this is both a communications.
Y es que amigos, Donald Trump no solo bombardeó Irán, sino que lo anunció en su red social como si fuese un simple tuit más. O sea, en lugar de salir a dirigirse primero al pueblo estadounidense con seriedad, lo hizo con mayúscula, emojis patrióticos y felicitaciones a los grandes guerreros americanos. Este es el líder que toma decisiones bélicas. Lo más alarmante no solo es el ataque en sí, sino es el contexto, señores. Este es el mismo Donald Trump que durante años criticó las guerras eternas de Estados Unidos. El mismo que prometió sacar al país de conflictos innecesarios, el hombre de la paz, el hombre que le dice no a la guerra. Una vez más hizo todo lo contrario. Ojo, no se trata solo de una acción defensiva, porque no hubo un ataque directo a Estados Unidos, no hubo un consenso internacional, ni siquiera el Congreso fue consultado. ¿Por qué lo hizo? Algunos dicen que fue para disuadir a Irán. Otros que fue un gesto de apoyo a Israel, porque pues Israel luego salió a felicitar a Estados Unidos. Pero aquí, amigos, es donde entra el terreno peligroso. Incluso su propia comunidad de inteligencia, su propio equipo, su propio gabinete, había dicho que Irán no estaba tan cerca de tener un arma nuclear, como supuestamente dicen. ¿Qué es lo que hizo Trump? Los ignoró. Cuando un presidente ignora a sus asesores, desprecia a la inteligencia nacional y toma decisiones militares desde el teléfono. No estamos frente a un líder fuerte, estamos frente a un líder peligroso. Y ojo, sabemos muy bien que todo su gabinete es un desastre. Pero si ni siquiera lo va a utilizar, entonces ¿para qué lo tiene? Lo más preocupante es que una vez que se bombardea un país, ya no puedes controlar lo que sucede después. Ya no existe un botón de deshacer. Hoy se bombardea 3 sitios nucleares. ¿Mañana qué? ¿Una guerra regional? ¿Un atentado dentro de Estados Unidos en represalia? ¿Soldados estadounidenses muertos? Tal vez civiles. Y mientras su base maga, su base política, dividida. Porque algunos lo apoyan ciegamente y otros incluso dentro de su propio partido están alarmados por este giro hacia el belicismo. No es solo una contradicción, amigos, es una traición a su propia narrativa antiintervencionista, del hombre de la paz. Donald Trump, sin consultar a nadie, lanzó bombas a Irán, contradiciendo a su propio equipo de inteligencia, contradiciendo a sus propias promesas de campaña y, pues a gran parte del pueblo estadounidense. Y encima lo hizo con un post viral. Pues bueno, amigos, pasemos exactamente al tema de la contradicción del equipo de inteligencia, Porque sucedió hace unos días esta rueda de prensa, Donde él fue cuestionado sobre la amenaza nuclear de Irán. Eso fue hace unos días. Y el problema es que su propia directora de inteligencia había dicho que no hay evidencia de que Irán haya estado desarrollando armas nucleares, o al menos hasta el mismo punto que todos creen. Y en vivo y directo Trump la desmintió, en seco, así sin pruebas y sin pestañear. Veamos esto.
Rwanda, you know all about Rwanda, and the Congo will be doing a peace settlement, probably coming in on Monday or Tuesday. We're going to be signing it up, and we've stopped a very vicious war. So that was an honor for me to be involved. I want to thank J.D. Vance for a great job, and also our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has done a fantastic job. So Rwanda, long-term war with the Congo, a very bloody war. They're all bloody, but this was a really bloody one. Is going to be making peace with Congo, and they can get on to making trade deals with the United States and other places and have a much more normal form of life. We're very honored by that. As you know, we did a very great job with India and Pakistan, and we had India in. It looks like we're going to be making a trade deal with India. And we had Pakistan in. It looks like we're going to be making a trade deal with Pakistan. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. Serbia, Kosovo, likewise, they've been fighting for years. And as you know, we brought that one to a conclusion. And now we have a couple of big ones. We have Russia, Ukraine, which is making a little bit of progress. And we have Israel. And nobody really knows what that one is all about. We're going to find out pretty soon, I guess.
Mr. President, the Iranian foreign minister this afternoon said if the U.S. is serious about negotiations, that you would call up Israel and request that they stop their airstrikes. Will you make that request?
Well, I think it's very hard to make that request right now. If somebody's winning, it's a little bit harder to do than if somebody's losing. But we're ready, willing, and able, and we've been speaking to Iran, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
What was the thought process behind 2 week timetable?
just a time to see whether or not people come to their senses. That's all it is.
Did the Europeans help at all in talking with the Iranians?
No, they didn't help. No.
20,
Iran doesn't want to speak to Europe. They want to speak to us. Europe is not going to be able to help in this one.
20 years ago, you were skeptical of a Republican administration that attacked a Middle East country on the idea of questionable intelligence of weapons of mass destruction. How is this moment different with Iran?
Well, there were no weapons of mass destruction. I never thought there were. And that was somewhat pre-nuclear. You know, there was a nuclear age, but nothing like it is today. And it looked like I'm right about the material that they've gathered already. It's a tremendous amount of material. And I think within a matter of weeks, or certainly within a matter of months, they're going to be able to have a nuclear weapon. We can't let that happen. I was very much opposed to Iraq. I said it loud and clear, but I was a civilian, but I guess I got a lot of publicity. But I was very much opposed to the Iraq war. And I actually did say, don't go in, don't go in, don't go in. But I said, if you're going to go in, keep the oil. But they didn't do that.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
Mr. President, are the Chinese in any way helping Iran at this moment? Clearing reports of serious planes landing in Iran from China?
They say that they're there to take people out, but I can't tell you about that. I get along very well with China, get along very well with President Xi. I like him, he likes me. We have a very good relationship. We'll see what happens. I can't imagine them getting involved.
The decision that you need to make on Iran, whether to strike militarily, is this the biggest decision you'll have to make as president?
Well, I can't tell you that. I have to see what happens. I can't, really say that. It depends what the decision is. But I wouldn't really be able to tell you that now. I'll tell you in about a year from now, maybe 5 years or 10 years from now. You never know about decisions. You never really know.
Sir, would you support a ceasefire while the negotiations happen?
I might, depending on the circumstances.
Would you?
It's very hard to stop. I will say this. It's very hard to stop when you look at it. Israel's doing well in terms of war. And I think you would say that Iran is doing less well. It's a little bit hard to get somebody to stop.
Sir, Liam Cosgrove was here. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz threw out an interesting idea suggesting that if you were to broker a deal where nuclear inspectors go into both Israel and Iran, that you could win a Nobel Peace Prize, and they might even rename it the Trump Peace Prize. Did you hear those? What do you think of that?
Well, they should give me the Nobel Prize for Rwanda and if you look, the Congo, or you could say Serbia, Kosovo, you could say a lot of them. You could say, the big one is India and Pakistan. I should have gotten it 4 or 5 times. I should get it for the, I would think the Abraham Accords would be a good one too. They won't give me a Nobel Peace Prize because they only give it to liberals.
Would you support Iran being able to have nuclear, or would you support Iran being able to have civilian nuclear energy capabilities up to 3.76%?
They're sitting on the top of one of the largest piles of oil in the world. I just don't know why they need that for civilian work. It's one thing for certain countries to say, hey, I want to have a certain amount where I can go nuclear a little bit because we need it for electricity, we need it for air conditioners, etc. But when you're sitting on one of the largest oil piles anywhere in the world, it's a little bit hard to see why you need that. Yeah.
President, are you concerned that Iran or its proxies would wage terror attacks against American targets abroad if you order military action?
We're always concerned about that, and we have to take them out and be very strong. You're even in danger talking to me right now. Do you know that? You are in danger talking to me right now. So I should probably get out of here, but you guys are actually in danger. Can you believe it?
One more.
Is it still your expectation that NATO countries spend 5% of their GDP on defense spending?
Well, I think they should do that. I don't think we should, but I think they should. We've been supporting NATO so long. In many cases, I believe paying almost 100% the cost. So I don't think we should, but I think that the NATO countries should, absolutely.
What? Like Spain decides not to?
Well, NATO's going to have to deal with Spain. Spain's been a very low payer.
Ok, amigos, ¿se dan cuenta de lo que sucedió? Donald Trump, frente a periodistas, Básicamente dice que la máxima autoridad de inteligencia de su propio gobierno, la persona que él colocó, que él defendió, está equivocada. Y encima lo hizo sin pruebas, ¿no? Con ninguna. Eso lo hizo para preparar el terreno de lo que ocurrió el día de ayer, este bombardeo. Lógicamente no le convenía políticamente, ¿no? Lo que su equipo decía. Así que decidió descartarlo por completo. Esto es muy grave por varias razones. Para empezar, desacredita a tu propio aparato de seguridad. O sea, no estamos hablando de solo del tuit polémico, ¿no? O de una pelea con periodistas. Hablamos de la seguridad nacional. Hablamos de este posible conflicto nuclear, señores. Hablamos de posibles represalias. Esto ya sienta un precedente muy peligroso, porque si tu presidente solo cree lo que él quiere creer, entonces ¿para qué existe una comunidad de inteligencia profesional? Que tengan datos, que tengan análisis, que tengan alertas. ¿Para qué tienes un gabinete? Irresponsabilidad diplomática. Porque al salir a decir que Irán sí está desarrollando armas nucleares y encima hacerlo sin pruebas verificables, simplemente información al azar, información que tal vez puedas encontrarla en un sitio web, lanza al mundo un mensaje muy amenazante. Recordemos, amigos, así empezó la guerra de Irak. Y ojo, ¿no? Si alguien quiere salir a decirme, bueno, quizás él sí tenga acceso a otra información, lo lógico sería que la presente, o al menos la mencione porque ya ha atacado, ya dio el golpe. Pero no, simplemente descalificar, minimizar y seguir adelante como si nada. Como si todo esto fuese poco, ¿no? Como vimos después de la conferencia, más adelante, Trump hasta dijo, ¿no?, que quizás merezca un premio Nobel de la paz. Pero tal vez el día de ayer despertó y dijo, ya no quiero este premio, bombardemos. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Lo más preocupante de todo esto no solo es que contradiga su propia inteligencia, ¿no?, sino que lo hace hasta con arrogancia. O sea, como si ya no le importara la verdad, solo el relato de lo que más le favorece. Un líder que ignora a sus expertos para imponer su versión es un líder peligroso, especialmente cuando él tiene acceso a este arsenal militar, de los más poderosos del planeta, si es que no lo es. Pero bueno, señores, ¿qué opinan ustedes? ¿Creen que Trump realmente tenía o tiene esta información secreta, ¿no?, que no quiso revelar y no quiso adelantar lo que acaba de hacer? ¿Bombardear Irán? ¿O simplemente está improvisando como siempre y lo hizo porque quiso? Los invito a que me dejen sus opiniones en la caja de comentarios. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme hasta el final de este video. Recuerda, como siempre, darle like, compártelo con tus amigos y suscríbete a nuestro canal Políticamente en Desacuerdo. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.